This week I'm campaigning for stuffed cheeks. It's very important that you vote for this beer.
And I'm campaigning for juice above the clouds. Don't the juice be loose. Put it in a movie next week.
We're about to launch our 27th Fast Five, at the end of which you'll be deciding which beer we turn into our next feature film. So get ready to beer me that movie. Welcome back to Beer Me That Movie, all you beer lovers, movie dreamers, and people who may or may not have just survived a Velociraptor-related car accident.
That's right, folks. Last week we dove headfirst into the prehistoric gas-guzzling chaos that was Velociraptor Hood Ornament, a film that dared to ask, what if Jurassic Park met Fast and Furious in the city of Philadelphia?
And more importantly, what happens when you wake up velociraptors who've been evolving under Philly for 65 million years? Spoiler alert, it got pretty messy.
Ooh, indeed. Now, if you're wondering, what did we learn from this experience? The answer is nothing. So it was another roaring success.
And we're not slowing down, because today we're back at it again with another Fast Five where we take 5 beers, turn them into movie ideas, and probably make at least one mistake that's going to haunt us for a week or two.
Or maybe forever. And this week, we've got some incredible listener-submitted beers, meaning the madness is not just our fault, it's yours too.
So before we jump into this week's Fast Five, we have to talk about last week's feature film because, good Lord, our inbox has been flooded and my nightmares have been Velociraptor filled.
Turns out you guys have a lot of questions, and to answer your biggest question, no, we will not be developing Velociraptor Hood Ornament into an actual car brand yet.
Though, if any of you venture capitalists are listening in, DM us. We have ideas.
Yep, plenty of those. Now, let's talk about our favorite and least favorite parts of last week's movie.
Let's take a trip back in time to last week's winning feature. Was it a masterpiece or a mistake?
John, I'll throw it to you. Let you start. What do you got? By last week, this happened moments ago for us.
It should be fresh in my mind, Harrison, but
gone.
I'm old.
Oh.
I've started to carry around a lanyard that reminds me where I live. It's called an iPhone, unfortunately.
Right.
So Velociraptor Hood Ornament. Initially, the only thing I think I regret is that I didn't make enough pictures of Harmony Torque. And initially I thought Woody Harrelson.
Right.
And
we did talk about that.
Just because I love Woody Harrelson. And I think he would have been perfect in that role.
Yeah.
But with Jason Gallows, I think we had a little bit more fun playing on kind of a NASCAR, bit Southern vibe.
Yes.
So not a lot of regrets that I can think of offhand. And that's usually how I think is like, what did you do wrong?
Right. Yeah. Start with the wrong, and hopefully it's a short list and a short conversation. Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked a little bit about this at the end of that episode, but we hadn't done an action movie in a while, so that was cool. Also, I thought the whole thing was funny that during last Fast Five, the only movie John said he didn't want to do was Velociraptor Hood Ornament, and that's the one that won. So we all should have seen that coming. So that gave me a chuckle when I saw the votes come in. Doing it though was a lot of fun. We tried to, hopefully it was kind of a fun, more fast-paced action movie. Certainly that kind of second act when the Raptors got out, and the final act when the city was thrown into chaos. Hopefully that was enjoyable. Those are they're fun to kind of think through. We got a car chase in there. I mean, this would have been a fun movie to watch, and the kind of way the creepy, blind, oil-covered Velociraptors look, that's a cool visual. Kind of a new, because and almost like we've seen dinosaurs and we've seen kind of creepy blind monsters, but we threw them together
like a venom raptor,
right,
sort
exactly.
of thing.
Yes, there we go.
We did create a new fear for children.
Yeah, of course, which that's fine. It makes them build character.
And it could have, I think, depending on who directed this, you could have taken it down that sort of climate change, fear of these weird, creepy night dinosaurs. Like you could have made it a more thoughtful film. The way that we directed it was more like
like Con Air, like
like Fast and Furious mixed with Mad Max. A little less story than Mad Max, a little more than Fast and Furious.
Yes, indeed. We split the difference there and aired on the side of fun, I hope. And again, this is a kind of a popcorn flick, in my mind anyway.
100%.
Didn't go too deep.
If anyone remembers anything from a movie like this, it's going to be like the one or two one-liners.
Right.
The fact that Harmony never wore pants with her lab coat.
Yes.
Most people will remember that.
I hope so. Certainly Dan.
Yeah, because if I direct it, she's played by ScarJo. and Dan Sharp is played by Tyrion Lannister.
Yes. I'm just imagining the model on the cover of the Blink-182 Enema of the State album.
100%. That was my inspiration for
right.
Harmony Torque.
Right. Exactly.
So it was fun to kind of put some of those pieces of an action flick together.
Yeah.
I think typically like Harrison and I always have these two lives when we're doing a film where it's like we want to do the film justice,
right?
But we also want to make it fun.
Of course.
And you can't really do one of those. Otherwise, you get a great film that's a boring podcast.
Right.
Or you get a lot of laughs and you're like, what the fuck happened in that movie? They didn't even get to the dinosaurs.
Right,
they just picked on the NASCAR career.
I'm talking about this lady who wasn't wearing pants. A lot of pantsless jokes in this podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
But, and I, again, not no regrets, but I do, it would have been maybe fun to develop kind of Dr. Torque and Gas's relationship a little bit more. Not needed, but with a name like Harmony Torque, I mean, this movie shouldn't have ended with Gas launching himself into space. It should have ended with him launching a rocket of another kind right towards the good doctor, in some bungalow somewhere, living off of, I don't know.
Part of me thinks the Harmony's the type of thoughtful, science-driven woman that would have made those two men submit, and both of them would have been her husband. Like,
ooh, that'd be fun.
Gas Gallows would have been like her manly husband, and Dan Sharp would have been her nerdy husband.
Basically just still the assistant.
And she would have had the best of both worlds. Like, Dan's making us dinner while Gas and I bang on the back porch, and then Gas is gonna clean up while Dan eats me out upstairs.
Yeah, she's conquered it all. So anyway, we didn't go down that route, but we could have. And it would have been entertaining as well. But overall, a lot of fun. I'm glad you guys picked it. I was secretly hoping, although I did like John Doe. John Doe would have been fun. That'll live in the vault. And we have had a few people reach out and say, does the vault still exist? It does. It's just in John and my mind. So we're not like publishing the vault list somewhere. We could do that someday.
I have a spreadsheet that's pretty messy, but yeah, maybe one day we could do like a public vault vote sort of thing.
I think we definitely
we all want Powder Jones.
I know.
At least I do. But
I was thinking about Powder Jones today.
Yeah, I think it should be in release.
Yeah.
We've been doing the podcast for about a year now,
right.
so we might
see it tonight. We don't know. That'd be
pretty cool. Okay, I'm not gonna get my hopes up.
I know, right? Powder Jones. Cool. But yeah, last week was fun. Thanks again for voting. You're gonna get a chance to do it again this week. But enough looking back. It's time to move forward. And what better way to do that than with a cold beer ready to take center stage?
Beer isn't the reason that all of you listen to this show, but it is the reason that I do this show. So I'm going to ask Harrison to start talking about this beer so I can open it up and drink it, because it is my vibe.
Like a wise old brewmaster, we're about to sip and let the inspiration flow.
It is indeed. All right, so we've got, I can't remember if we've done this before, but we've movied this beer already. So today we're going to drink it, which I think that's the first time we've consumed a beer after we movied it. Maybe it happened once more. I don't remember. Someone check us. It doesn't matter.
If it wasn't for the internet, I could just be as confidently wrong as my father has been his whole life. No, you never played baseball. Yeah, Dad, I have the pictures from Little League.
No, that was a fever dream. You had tuberculosis. You don't remember anything from before you were 7.
We did those pictures at JCPenney. Now shut up.
Right, now we got to be right all the time. It's exhausting. Well, although somehow nobody is. But anyway, so we've got garage beer. We're having it in a shed, so don't come after us. But this is Garage Beer from Garage Beer. It's an American light lager, comes in at 4%. And the notes from Garage Beer say classic light beer, small batch brewed, 95 calories, 3 grams of carbs. Light beer, the way it used to be made. Small batches, premium ingredients, beer flavored beer. So, as many of you probably do know, but if you don't, Garage Beer has been around for a little bit, but the Kelsey brothers of NFL fame bought a majority of it, some of it, all of it. I don't know. The details are maybe out there, but I didn't look them up. And since then, it's kind of been catapulted more into the mainstream. They're making a lot of it, and it ended up in North Carolina, so I grabbed some. But 4% is the sweet spot. A lot of kind of brands, beer brands that just make a lager are happening now, and we're here for it. John and I've called it for years. The year of the lager was always coming, and now we're kind of living through it. But this one's good. I've had a bunch of them for research purposes. We've had some of them on this show already. But yeah, I liked this one. So I'm going to take a sip. John already has.
I've taken 3, and it might be 4, but you got to get a couple of tastes. Every true professional beer taster knows your first sip is wasted.
Right.
Your second tip is tasted to make it rhyme, and your third sip is when you really understand the beer. So, full disclosure, I'm packing a wintergreen Zin right now.
So lighten it up.
It's affecting the taste in a way that doesn't make it terrible, but I'm definitely not getting like the honest perception of this beer. But what I will say is, initially in my life, all light beer tasted the same, except Coors tasted like shit. And now in my life with these, we'll say like craft focused light beers, I can tell we drank cold recently from Turvey, and that tasted different than this. This almost makes me think of like I get the leftover like cereal flavor of like store brand oat flakes or something like that. There's like this kind of pleasant cereal flavor that I enjoy.
There is. And for a lot of these light beers, for me, almost all of them either have like a lemongrass note, a honeysuckle note, or like a corn kind of like a diacetyl
I get that from
or
Pabst.
a DMS, right? Like kind of corn flavor that jumps out. This one has, I think, for me, a little bit of lemongrass, which I like. So it's crazy simple, but it is. I like this flavor of a light beer more than the corn that's forward ones, and even like the honeysuckle ones, which are sometimes a little too sweet. So this is like super solid. We're drinking out of the can, but I poured a few in glasses. It is crystal clear.
Nice.
Which is cool too. So anyway, well made, very simple beer. And so cheers to the Kelsey Bros and the brewers that are making it. It seems to be kind of spreading across the US. So if you've seen it and are like, probably not, probably just a marketing blah, I would seek it out and drink it. It's like gonna probably be my lawnmower beer for the foreseeable future.
You got a lot of lawns to mow, Harry.
I do have a lot of lawns to mow.
But I agree, like it's they say garage beer, and I think the best beers you could ever drink are often consumed in a garage.
Yeah.
So I like the connotation. Smart move by the Kelsey brothers. I don't think you can't really hate the Kelsey brothers. I mean, I'm a Bills fan, so I do hate one of them, but they seem like good dudes. And this is a beer I can drink with a Zin. If we're having an IPA, I want to do it the favor of like tasting the beer. Harry and I have done some super fun stuff with light beers, like chop up a jalapeno and shove it in the can. Now you got a spicy light beer. Like you can play with them. They're kind of a blank canvas, or you can just drink them out of the can and forget how much you hate your job.
That's right. Or just cruise away in your garage to a land far away from all your troubles. It's funny you say the wintergreen's in. I used to be a big fan of Busch Light and Orbit Sweet Mint Gum, which happened by accident once, but the combination blew my 21-year-old mind or 20-year-old mind many moons ago. But that's amazing. So
fusion cuisine.
Yeah, it's all Hatsumami. That's that third flavor shows up and sends you into the future. So John is traveling through the stars. I'm here enjoying this garage beer in a shed, but we'll meet together in the Fast Five in a few minutes and have a blast.
Quick update, everyone. Just want to let you know that Harrison is in charge of all Beer Me That Movie social media. And I know that he works hard on it because I see our social media account. So if you're not following, the one I would recommend is Beer Me That Movie on Instagram. It's the one that we monitor most. You can find us on all the other social platforms within reason. But leave him a comment. Let him know if you liked his post. Leave us any feedback about the podcast, or send us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/beermethatmovie. You can send a voice message. It allows us to listen to it, and sometimes we even play them on the show. So it just makes interacting with the podcast possible and sometimes more fun for us.
Indeed it does. Speaking of fun things for us, we have got a great beer queued up for number 1 on Fast 527. So let's go jump in and check it out.
Time to get that old Toyota Mustang fired up.
Velociraptor blood into the old Vespa Camaro.
It's going to be an AutoZone, like, fuel additive at some point, Velociraptor blood.
It must be, if not already.
People are going to be putting it in their paintball guns. All right, so welcome to the Fast Five. We've got not one, but 2 beers sent in by our friend Lance.
Yes.
And as is tradition, we must now make a completely arbitrary decision on which one we turn into our first movie of this Fast Five.
Indeed. So Lance gave us 2 options. So the first one is Mocha Madhouse from Modern Times. The other is Winter Cabin from Pizza Port. I gotta be honest, they both sound like places where you go to, missing maybe in mysterious circumstances. But we gotta pick one, John, to do for beer number 1. So I'm leaning one way, but what are you thinking?
Easy decision.
Okay.
Mocha Madhouse.
Mocha Madhouse, baby. All right, sweet. Sounds like my kitchen in the morning, but and maybe that's what this movie is. That's not too exciting. It's just loud and I'm angry till I get that mocha in my blood. But yes. So thank you, Lance, for sending this in. What do you got? What do you have? Any thoughts originally, John? Did Lance give us any thoughts in his check-in? Where are you going to start?
So Lance sent me this beer on Untapped. He sent the check-in to me, but he didn't provide like a direction he wanted it to go.
Cool.
We can take a look at his check-in here on the screens behind us if you're watching. And it says, that's damn good. Creamy, chocolatey, roasty coffee. Perfect patio sipper.
Ooh.
LDBC #BMTM. That's Beer Me That Movie. Good for you, Lance. Thanks for the tag.
Thank you, Lance.
But no theatrical direction here. So we've got, sounds like a great beer, but we've got the title, Mocha Madhouse.
Yes.
And that is a blaxploitation film. that
coffee,
is,
right.
That I think coffee's like shitty chocolate, because whenever you get those like variety Valentine's pen, there's a mocha one. Like I want to like it, but I never do.
Tastes like chocolate dust.
Yeah, it's usually the one that I leave because I love my wife.
Right.
But the nougat ones are gone. They were bad, honey. So
right,
Mocha Madhouse, I think we could go down that road of like maybe it's like it's knockoff Starbucks. It's a Moonbucks, and their mocha thing is that's a little okay. So
we've done one like that where something's in the coffee and it's making everyone controlling their minds. I think we
did a. I don't know if we ever featured it, but I think that was a Fast Five.
Definitely was.
So Mocha Madhouse. Let's take it kind of scary science direction.
Okay.
Let's take can we figure out a way to make this be like I'm trying to think of the correct way to use the term that isn't crazy people home.
Got it.
But is that
a cuckoo's nest?
Yeah. Like whatever they were eloquently called, they're still horrible places.
Yes, indeed.
So maybe it's like it's okay. There's a story that the guy from Kellogg's cereal used to have a farm where he would bring people that were hysterical because they were too driven by sex.
Wow.
And he would give them this precursor to cereal.
Really?
And he would force them to like say prayers and live in isolation, and that would help quell their urge for sex so they could become this is a true story. This is the Kellogg cereal guy was a fucking nut job.
Yeah.
So maybe we could kind of take a little bit of inspiration from Mr. Kellogg Sr. and create this sort of Mocha madness where there's a crazy science, definitely a therapist from Lagerston.
Got it.
That is using Mocha coffees to cure people. And we could make it more modern because a lot of people are becoming rather sedentary. My job involves me sitting all day and never getting up or I get yelled at.
Right.
So, so maybe like people are becoming sedentary. They need to find a way to experience life through physical movement. Yeah. And that's where Mocha Madhouse comes in and offers to save these people.
I like that. And maybe overcorrects. Like, right, it's a sedentary world. People aren't, if they're not, everything's a desk job, but, we need people to dig the mines and dig the ditches and climb up telephone poles and fix problems. The robots can't do everything yet. So maybe it's set in like the near future where like, we haven't fully moved into the AI world where we just get to lounge about and all be artists or whatever that's going to fucking look like. And there's still things that need to get done that are physical, but nobody wants to do it. And so the government or whatever's left then after the government's dissolved, a group of dogs and three rich people make this decision that we need to find some scientists, create some elixir to motivate people, to get them off their butts and help us move into the future so we can ride their basically slave labor into the glorious future that we rich people and our crazy pack of dog assistants desire. And so this guy makes a mocha drink, thinking it'll just have a little bit of caffeine in it. Maybe he like miscalculates and there's some kind of fusion happening with like the kind of chocolate he chose and the caffeine that goes like right to their blood and maybe like makes them have tons of energy, maybe also like expands their intelligence. So like the way I could see the movie going is, right, you've got these evil rich dictators running the world thinking they're invincible because everyone's dumb and full of fried chicken and asleep on their love sacks all day. Needs to motivate them a little bit so they can, repair broken windows and do whatever work needs to be done. Overdoes that, and now he's got a bunch of intelligent, motivated, active people who are figuring out how to tear it all down in this Mocha Madhouse that is the planet. The inmates take over the asylum as it were.
Hell spun on super espressos.
Right, exactly. Looking for that next fix because they need it every 12 hours or something happens. And that could be the second half of that movie as they morph into some zombified version of themselves. This drink is no good. It's all bad news.
When I was in the Army, I was young and that's my excuse. But Ripped Fuel was a popular supplement that we would buy at GNC, and it was basically super caffeine. And I think every soldier I knew carried Ripped Fuel on them like it was a necessary medicine. Right. Now the Army didn't want you taking Ripped Fuel. They're pretty clear about no, we shouldn't become reliant on this. Yeah. Said from the older Army that lived on caffeine pills, this was just better caffeine pills.
Yeah.
But if we just take that and I imagine a world where the Army, or in this case the workers of a country, are mandated to go to this Mocha, they don't call it Mocha Madhouse, right? Sure. They call it like caffeine rehabilitation.
Caffeine dream.
Exactly. Yeah, right. Like it's good. It helps you get motivated to go to work and overcome some of your anxiety issues and overcome your haven't got off the couch today vibes, and helps you become a better worker for the country, yada yada yada.
Yep.
Colloquially it's known as the Mocha Madhouse. That's where they send people that have gotten too lazy
to rehab them. I like it. And then it's just a kind of a Spartacus type film where people are rise up all jacked up on caffeine though. But But maybe the synergy works a little better with the mocha in there, the chocolate in there, where they're not scratching their skin off. They're just extremely intelligent and able to figure it out. That could be fun. That could be
I
a
felt
cool
like
one.
I could have solved anything on enough ribs fuel.
Exactly. When I was young and had caffeine in me, I felt invincible.
Yeah.
I could do anything.
World hunger is such an easy problem. Give me a real one.
Right. Exactly. Oh, how do I get this box of donuts open quietly so my roommates don't wake up? All right. I'll take that on as a challenge. They're all going to be mine. This is fun. All right, cool. Well, I feel good about that one. Thank you, Lance, for sending in those beers. I hope we did Mocha Madhouse justice for you. Keep them coming. But I think we're ready to move on to beer number 2.
Also user submitted coming up next.
Crack it open, take a sip, and let's see where this beer takes us.
Beer number 2 was sent to us by a listener who goes by Rhett. Thank you for sending this, Rhett. Harrison is very excited about this beer. Made by Altamont Beer, called Juice Above the Clouds.
Ooh.
And Rhett actually came up with a pitch that he sent along, so I'm going to share it with y'all, and then I'm going to let Harrison sprinkle salt all over it. But he says it's a Top Gun style film, which I love.
Yes, I'm in.
Where the protagonist has a high altitude mission to complete, which is great because if there's one thing we love, it's strapping people to planes and making them do stupidly dangerous things.
Indeed.
Harrison, where do we go with this kind of Top Gun style high altitude mission, Juice Above the Clouds?
Yes, I love this. Thank you, Red, for sending it in. Love Top Gun. High altitude 100%. And Top Gun may be very well where this movie ends, but the other movie I was reminded of immediately when looking at this was a movie we made early on as a Fast Five in Beer Made That Movie called Relax. Might have been in the first or second episode where the beer was called Relax. And the idea was someone had just been given laxatives on a plane. They were supposed to land in 15 minutes, but were forced to taxi around for hours. Now you have a guy with bubble guts running around the plane trying to relieve himself with all the bathrooms broken. I thought it was a hilarious idea. It would have been a very short and disgusting movie, but up until that point, pretty funny. So I went there right away. We're not going to do that, though. We'll let Relax.
Juice Above the Clouds definitely fits for a title, though.
Yeah, hot snakes. So we're gonna skip. We're gonna leave the bowel stuff for Relax. This, though, what I kind of saw here is similar but different. Juice Above the Clouds. I'm imagining like a retired bodybuilder, semi-pro wrestler. Basically, he's been alienated from his family, chased his dream of running around the ring, burned out on drugs and needles and all kinds of horrible stuff. But he's getting his life back together, trying to travel home to meet his daughter for the first time since he saw her as a kid 10 years ago, and has kind of cleaned up his life a little bit. And so he's on this plane flying high above the clouds, trying to leave his past behind him of, taking steroids and benching until his brain hurt and getting punched in the head and throwing chairs in people's faces. That's something he wants to forget. He needs, to be a family man. But the world, as it always does, has different plans. This plane is, of course, hijacked by some ne'er-do-wellers.
Lagerstani hijackers.
That's right. The Lagerstani air pirates have gotten onto this plane, are up to no good. And he's got to make a decision. Maybe he finds one more hit of steroids, sees someone with juicing up another way. But basically this guy has to one more time jump back on the wagon or fall off the wagon and use his last little bit of steroids to become super jacked and beat all of these hijackers to death with their fanny packs. And that's the movie, is a high altitude wrestling movie in an airplane. So he's got all these wrestling moves that he can use, and they're not going to know what hit him. But also he's old. The third act is him basically having a slow heart attack as his body and the drugs start to wear off.
This could be really like heartstringy.
Exactly. That's what I'm imagining.
Maybe he doesn't even make it off the plane.
Exactly. Yes.
But he saves another guy who's going to see his daughter.
Yep. Or saves. There's a daughter, the young girl on the plane, flying by herself, saves her. Oh, yeah. Exactly. It could be like Air Force One meets the wrestler in the sky.
So the only thing I love the wrestler too. I forget that was a good movie. Marissa Tomei. Was also in that movie. That's why I said her name. She was in it too, even though I didn't mention anyone else. The only thing I want to add to this plot is how he gets his steroids back.
Yes, please, because I couldn't figure that out. I couldn't loop that all together. So where are they, John?
I got it. It's great, and it goes back to your relax a little bit.
Perfect.
So in the beginning of the flight, he takes he's got his steroids. He brought them on the plane in his fanny pack. That's probably where you carry your steroids.
Sure.
And he goes to the bathroom and he pulls out the needle and he's like, one more time, maybe I could do some. And he takes it and he caps it and he flushes it down the toilet.
Perfect.
But unlike at home, when you flush the toilet in an airplane, it doesn't leave right away. So eventually in Act 2, when he realizes he needs to get the steroids, now we know how he has to get them.
That's right. He's gotta go fishing around the tiny septic tank in the belly of this airplane,
full of god awfulness.
Just the worst kind of poops. Worst place to poop is in a porta potty in a hot field somewhere at a music festival. Second worst place to poop is probably on an airplane.
Any airplane.
Just the pressure does all kinds of things to your guts.
I mean, it's like they say in a movie, if you're writing a script, if you want to make someone a hero, you make them save the cat.
Yes.
Which could be interpreted in a lot of ways, but you show them doing like a good thing for someone else. And in this case, making someone reach into an airport shit box to get steroids to save everyone on the plane is like saving 1,000 cats.
That's right. Exactly. And it's hilarious that he's going to kind of smell like shit the entire time he's running around this plane, all juiced out of his mind. As people are going, oh, thank God. Oh, what is that smell? Thank you for saving me. Oh, Jesus.
You take his baby wipes, sir.
Right. And he's just, teeth is grinding, just, I'm sorry. I don't know. I just got to keep going before it wears off. So that would be, Woo. So love that. Love that we got to go do some diarrhea diving to get this last needle. And he could die from just like hepatitis. Like
really. A lot of ways he's not making it through Act 3.
Exactly. He had typhoid fever somehow. I don't know. He got that up in the air, but he did save the entire plane. Sorry he smells so bad.
Died a hero, and his name will be Rhett if he's if that's the movie we pick. Rhett the Wrestler.
Rhett the Wrestler up in the sky above the clouds.
Great submission. I expected Harrison would have fun with that. I just didn't think that I would have so much fun.
I knew you would.
So we got one more user submitted beer coming up next for beer number 3.
A single sip can spark a whole story. Let's see where this one takes us.
So for our last user submission in this Fast Five, it comes from Brian D. And it's made by Myers Creek Brewing Company. Indeed. So this isn't something you can find at your local gas station.
No.
But the fun part is what it's called. Brian didn't ask us to do anything special with this submission. He gave us a beer named Stuffed Cheeks.
Look out. Look out. We're already in R-rated territory. We'll be lucky if we keep it out of NC-17 with this one.
It's definitely a sex movie, not even a sex comedy. It's just pure. If you Google Stuffed Cheeks and you go to the video results, you're going to...
Careful. Don't do that on a public computer in a library.
We'll see you in 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, but maybe 6. But still, Stuffed Cheeks, if I can get that pornographic imagery out of my head, Stuffed Cheeks could be...
I mean, my first thought, which is not what we should do, but I just thought it was funny. This could be like a Weekend at Bernie's movie, but with like squirrels. So you've got Dead Cheeks, the squirrel, stuffed, and his 2 buddy squirrels have to pretend Cheeks is alive still for some squirrel problem. Disney would never make this movie, but they should, because it would be hilarious to see a bunch of squirrels walking around another stuffed taxidermied one trying to use it to trick their way out of some problem. That's the most G-rated we can go. Everything else now is going to maybe get us banned from the internet.
Well, if it hasn't happened yet, let's just do full out sex move. No, so stuffed cheeks. I like the squirrel take because that's kind of one of the pictures that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
One of them. It could be. We could take it a little. We could take it on the nose. One of the ideas I had was like it's a bank robber movie sort of thing, and they smuggle the diamonds in their mouth.
Oh, those cheeks. Got
like
it.
Stuffed cheeks. We could maybe have a little fun doing a little heist thing.
Yes.
I don't know how the fact that they stuff diamonds in their cheeks works into it.
Right, exactly.
The cop's like, "What'd you do with the diamonds?"
Whoa. Right.
God damn it! I can't find any diamonds on him. And he's from Lagerstown. He can't even speak English.
This poor guy. Let's get him out of here. He has to go to a hospital.
The other idea that might be more fun would be kind of like if we make it, maybe not a horror movie, but like a competitive, like think Joey Chestnut, think like competitive eating.
Okay.
But it's this almost like a murder mystery. Like these invites go out to people in the competitive eating circuit, and they get invited to like a rural Buffalo, New York suburb that doesn't usually host these sort of things. They pull up and it's this big mansion, and they get trapped in this like cursed buffet where they're forced to eat, but there's no apparent way out of it. It's like you're all gonna die, and you're gonna die eating. You professional eating sons of bitches. Like you could have worked on curing cancer, but you worked on sliding hot dogs down your throat. This is your payback.
You're celebrating gluttony as the world starves. I could see that as some like kind of the world sees him as a nice philanthropist, but he's literally got a vendetta again because he donates money and stuff to the starving people of the world, but he hates people that overeat and thinks it's gluttonous and and he, just like you said, so decides to get his revenge by inviting a bunch of competitive eaters to his huge mansion. And I wonder if it's almost like they're sat down at a table and then all of a sudden strapped to their chairs, buffalo wings fill the table, and it's literally like if you don't every 30 minutes this table is going to get weighed by a scale under the floor, and if it weighs, what it weighs, if it weighs 100
you
pounds,
haven't eaten enough.
Right, you haven't eaten enough, basically, like a guillotine comes from the ceiling or the floor falls out or, whatever, something bad happens. So they're basically forced to continue to eat. Otherwise, this like madhouse of horrors will begin for them, whether it's the floor falling out.
It could get even like Saw-like.
Exactly. That's kind of what I'm seeing.
Like a screen pops up and they see their kids at school.
Right.
It's like, now you have to eat 50 pounds of wings combined, or one of your kids won't make it home from school today.
Right. And or like maybe the first time someone eats too much and like ruptures their stomach and they die, then like that's weight that leaves the table. And so it's like, you've been given a reprieve. Now you must only eat. So it's like all four of them now that are left are basically just trying to be the last person that doesn't explode from eating. And basically who can last the longest without completely destroying themselves. That movie would be disgusting.
It'd be a really big like act 3 where the three people left, it turns into like Survivor Big Brother, and they're like gang. They're like, okay, I'll eat my share, you eat your share, and that guy's definitely gonna die. Yeah. Or we could maybe work in. So I like the Saw-like direction of it.
Yeah. Maybe one of them tries to cheat, and when the timer goes off, like picks up a tray of food and immediately gets his head chopped off. And
there could even be
fast.
Like, what's the show that everyone liked for a while where the women had to wear robes?
Handmaid's Tale.
Like, okay, so that robed woman, like in my head, she's like, there's a bunch of them, and she's like the server where like they come out and put the new food out, and then the first time they mess up, she decapitates someone or like chops off a hand, and she's like, now you're gonna be eating your own hand.
Your own hand.
This counts as weight on the table. Someone's gonna have to eat it. Like it could get stuffed cheeks could be a little bit of fun.
Yes, it could be. I mean, you gotta figure out how to get them out of here, which is always fun. And we had that something similar with Fourth Dose. Our second feature was all about trying to outsmart this basically maze house of horrors, and they kind of did.
They kind of did some
At
that.
a
That was our
cost.
second feature.
It
That was a
was.
while ago.
I know, right? But I like the way stuffed cheeks could go be disgusting, but also, I mean, people love Saw, so what do I know?
Exactly.
And food.
And food is good, so we could make it about food
You
some.
have a lot of it.
And
You gotta lose weight after
body
that
horror,
movie.
the rest of it.
Right.
I don't know. Substance did great. That was a good film.
Did great.
Very body horror. Let's see. So that's 3 beers submitted from y'all. We've got to go to Untapped and find 2 more. So we're coming back with beer number 4 from Untapped.
Some beers are legends, some are forgotten. Let's find out which one this is.
For our 4th beer and our first one from our friend feed on Untapped, this one is checked in by Bill, made by Machine Head Brewing.
Nice.
And it's named Shredding on Dank. Shredding on Dank. I don't surf, and when I snowboarded, we never said shredding on Dank, so I don't know exactly where this reference is from.
I have no idea.
But I don't have to. This is America. We can make it up. So, speaking of which, here's what happens. We're in the future,
All right.
but not far.
Okay.
Let's say 5 years.
Huh.
5 years in the future.
We're still here.
Some of the protections that you currently have are not here anymore.
Got it.
Like, one of the big things is that marijuana has become illegal again.
Oh.
And not just illegal, but like, if you're caught with marijuana, you're sent to a state prison to work there for the rest of your life.
Oh, wow.
As well as many other things. But if you take marijuana away from a country of people that rely on it,
yes,
you're going to get some fallout and things are going to happen. So it's kind of a dystopian look at American future. But we have the shredders who have been providing people with marijuana from a different country that lives across, let's say, a little ocean inlet.
Okay.
So what they basically do is they surf because you're not allowed to own a boat anymore.
Right. That's also gone. All the fun stuff's gone. Boats,
but
marijuana, soda.
These guys with some of their they're just like 30-year-olds. But like, I remember a time when we could do all these other things. So they fashion these surfboards and they surf beyond the ocean horizon dangerously, but they're talented. And they go to meet these other people who grow marijuana and they trade with them the little things that they have. Like they have something of value that those people want. So they're able to barter.
I see this.
Get this ganja and then surf it back to America. They lose people sometimes. They're like a little rebellion force that exists to supply weed, like not necessarily to rebel, but just to supply drugs to people.
Yes.
And like drugs, like something you could grow in your closet, not fentanyl.
Right.
But so anyways, this is Shredding on Dank. It's a story about a couple of people that weren't going to live if they couldn't have what they really wanted to enjoy, if they're still allowed to have an Xbox, to enjoy their video games. So that's the universe that I've got for you, Harrison.
I see it.
What do you got?
The Pot Pirates, the age of the Pot Pirates, Shredding on Dank. I love this. This is a beautiful Robin Hood type story, but instead of gold coins, it's marijuana cigarettes. I see the whole thing, and these group of shredders, of surfers are risking it all to do it. And I wonder if the story is what the story is in this world, because I see the world. It's terrifyingly close. I'm glad we still have surfboards. Maybe that's just the one thing they couldn't track down, or maybe they're just running around with their surfboards for years, hiding them with these shredders. But I wonder if the story is about kind of supplying the weed, or if it's a Romeo and Juliet story. One of the shredders falls in love with a girl on the distant shores and has to return, but gets captured, and she must venture away from her safe, free world into the dark, funless place that is on the other side of the bay, and has to kind of find that shredder and free him so the world can have marijuana again. There's probably a bunch of different movies, a bunch of different stories inside this, even if it's a little bit beyond even just trafficking some dank across this small ocean or whatever we want to call it. But I can see the heck out of this. It'd be fun. It's obviously there's a little bit of some Point Break vibes. Maybe that's the story. Someone infiltrates the gang to try to turn them all in, but end up flipping them, and to become one of the shredders, and shows them the true nature and the power of the Dank.
Live free,
Right,
man. They just
live free.
he's like writing his
Live free,
report
right.
back to
Keep
the
telling me-
agency. They
keep
just
talking about
everybody just
freedom.
keeps says live free. Like they
want me to be free.
they don't necessarily know
hate
when they're
freedom.
going on their next shred run. They just
Right.
said that they'll go when they need to go.
When they feel like it.
Impossible to track. That'd be good. Okay. That's the piece that I think I was missing is kind of like what happened. So maybe they
But I love
have
it.
this sort of Donnie Brasco character. And
okay.
they start flipping him, and then it turns
Yeah.
into a much bigger movement that, like, hey, this type of life might be better. Who else can we get to join
Right.
the shred
Right.
revolution?
And maybe it's just people start moving across the bay, or the ocean, whatever it is themselves.
Now they're
instead of-
shred coyotes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Now they're exactly right. They're just shredding people back, to move the Dank anymore. And it's just the grumpy people that don't know how to have any fun that are left in this dark and dreary place. And everyone else is happy, naked on the beach, smoking a bunch of doobies in the sunshine. They free themselves instead of trying to have this secret Dank cache in this dark and scary world. Escape man.
Thanks for fixing that one, Harrison. That seems possible.
Does seem possible.
I'm still in love with stuffed cheeks, but Shred Not Dank's a contender, and we're gonna give you one more because it's the Fast Five, not the Fast Four. So let's see what's coming up for our last beer.
This next beer has a lot to live up to. No pressure, little guy.
So for our last option on the table tonight, beer number 5 was checked in by Bill H, made by Persuasion Brewing Company, and it is called Pledge. Pledge
I pledge.
to the flag, the United States of America.
That's right.
Damn, have I forgotten it?
It's still out there
Um,
and in there.
yeah,
Many
I used to-
kinds of
I used to
pledges.
say that every morning.
Yeah, indeed.
Actually, speaking of saying that every morning,
Uh-huh.
so my first thought, just to let all of you know, was the wood cleaner, but that'd be a weird movie. Probably
be.
not. It'll probably be on Netflix next week. The Story of Pledge.
That's right.
But my first thought, now that I've reminded myself of saying the Pledge of Allegiance in elementary school,
Yeah.
is that I also had to fill out other pledges. I mean,
Okay.
I'll say that I didn't have to, but I'm in
Well.
I'm in second grade.
Right.
So I specifically remember
you do it.
in second grade, my parents were smokers, which is maybe how I ended up being a smoker. But before I get ahead of myself, in second grade, I was taught that cigarettes are terrible.
Right.
And if your parents smoke, that's probably not good. So you should tell your parents to quit smoking. But better than that, you should sign a pledge that says you'll never smoke. And then we also have another pledge that says you'll never do drugs. Sign these, and then we'll hang them up in the hallway for
Right.
everyone to see that this fucking 7-year-old is pledged never to do drugs. Get him,
right.
get him now. So I signed both of those pledges as a 7-year-old. Wasn't old enough to vote, wasn't old enough to drink, couldn't even serve my country yet.
Right.
But I
Sign your
did sign
future
these
away.
pledges to say, if a hot girl comes up to me and says, "Do you want to do ecstasy?" I will walk away or tell her that she shouldn't do it. Because it got me before girls were
Sure.
hot. That's how they got me.
That is. They know once girls are hot, it's all over.
How do you get
I'm
them
not
drugs?
Damn it, I can't.
I've
sorry.
already pledged. So, anyways, if this could become a movie, my idea is that somehow there's a repercussion, maybe from the universe, maybe from a
Right.
bad man, whatever it is. There's a repercussion that in, 1989 or something,
Okay.
I signed a pledge in Miss Vanderweel's class saying I would never do things that I have since done and encouraged other people to do.
Yes. And so what happens when you break those pledges? We think nothing, but you're suggesting, and I'm completely down with this, that there is some kind of comeuppance from the universe. And I wonder if, like, now I'm kind of getting vibes of like the movie The Santa Claus with Tim Allen, Stay With Me.
Okay.
And the fine print on the Santa Claus that he signed that kind of dictate what happens to the rest of the movie, where like maybe there's some fine print on that pledge. So you're 1989, you're 7, you say I'm never going to smoke cigarettes. Fast forward to
1992.
And you're behind the bleachers, with pretty Sammy Shores,
Jennifer Pulaski.
There we go. Yeah. Perfect. Coughing in her face as you're trying to inhale your first cigarette and look cool. And she giggles a little bit and you feel like the king of the universe. But then it's like, fast forward again 10 years and you're at a dead-end job. The cigarettes are annoying. Some girl's like, hey, your breath smells like an ashtray. Now it's not great. And so you're kind of moving through life, and then all of a sudden, maybe some person knocks on your door one day with the pledge in hand. Some maybe a normal-ish looking guy with a trench coat, who's basically like, hey, that fine print said, 4,000 days after you broke your pledge, you had to pay up. And the guy, and you, of course, are like, what the hell are you talking about? And what happens next, I don't know, but this guy's here to collect something, whether it's like years off your life, you got to get someone to take your place and promise to never smoke cigarettes. And if they do, you die. And so you got to find some kid in some school, make him sign a pledge, and then follow him around and not be creepy about it. Befriend some child as a 38-year-old, divorced dude now who just has a slew of bad habits, bad broken pledges. Like it could be a comedy like that where it's right, you're a fish out of water.
I'm forced to become a second grade teacher, and
there you go.
Get right. All my. Hey, you have to pledge that you'll never do TikTok.
Right.
What?
Hey,
TikTok's great. No, sign this pledge. TikTok's terrible. People die from it.
No one's gonna follow this.
Sign your name.
You're
sign
gonna kill me, kid.
We're gonna put this out in the hallway for everyone to see, and they'll know who didn't sign.
That's right. Hallway. No one looks up in the hallway. We're all on our phones. I'm dead. I'm a dead man. I'm dead. I'm dead. Dead as a doornail. But yeah. So right, something like that. And whether it's anyway, I think that's a good enough. We can have a lot of fun with the movie Pledge, and kind of what happens there, the trial and comedy of errors that follows this guy who has to write some, not even wrong really, just broke some silly pledge that had some interdimensional fine print to it.
A lesson in all the times you check that
God.
Terms of service box without reading it.
Right. We've all signed our souls away to the Martian salt mines. We just don't know it yet.
Yeah. Like my first thought was maybe I die and there is a heaven, and I go there and I see like the manager from Mighty Taco. She's running the gate and she's like, oh, hey, John. Yeah, I've been here for a little while. Looks like you did pretty good. I mean, nothing. Oh, wait a minute.
Ooh,
what's this
we got
pledge
a flag here, right?
And then you go straight to hell, which is funny. But you've turned this into more of a movie with giving me a chance to kind of fix this.
Right. We could split the difference, and your character does die, does go to the pearly gates instead of is discovered that you broke a pledge, but instead of going to hell, it's like you're going back to Earth. You gotta again find that kid, or you have to basically take someone has to take your place.
That's the punishment. You have to go back to Earth and start over. Either don't sign the pledge or sign it and follow through with it.
You got to relive middle school again.
Will I remember this? Nope. See you later.
Yep.
It's like a terrible Groundhog's Day.
Exactly. Oh, you're back again, huh? You got hit by that same bus, and you also signed that pledge, so you're heading back.
A little back alley kitty-ish.
Okay.
I like your version better. Give me a chance to fix it here while I'm still on Earth.
Right. And then maybe again, like it becomes another it could be a funny movie that's also a little heartwarming. He is assigned to kind of the nerd in class, the kid that's getting bullied and wants more than anything to fit in and do as many drugs, do as many cigarettes.
Man, if I could just have one cigarette, I'd be cool.
Right.
Listen, bud.
No.
Trust me, I've been there.
Right.
And it's not worth the price you'll have to pay.
And helps this kid, learn to play guitar and win the talent show. And you don't need to smoke cigarettes to get
It ends up making him a
Right.
better person.
Sure.
And then maybe we learn that the guy who showed up at his door was just a nut job. Like, really,
Well,
I could show up at any 40-year-old guy's door and call him out on that pledge, and he would know exactly what I mean.
Oh my God. Right. And throughout the entire movie, just as the main character like walks out of a coffee shop or leaves his house and the TV's still on, the radio, the TV's playing something with that guy's picture of like, still on the loose. And it's a man from the local insane
Escape
asylum.
from the Mocha Madhouse. Yeah.
Exactly. Going around impersonating the pledge doctor, as he calls himself. If you see this man, please report to the police. Yeah, so he has no idea that he's basically sent on some insane person's mission that doesn't exist. But as you said, makes him a better person. The kid has a better life, and one less new cigarette customer, which, we can't beat big tobacco overnight, folks. But if we start,
Start with a pledge. Get them while they're young. Could you imagine like in your party days, like go and like you're trying to court a female, and you're like, hey, I got this dope ecstasy, or maybe a little bit more tame, and you're like, you want to have a garage beer? Can I buy you a Manhattan?
Yeah.
And she pulls out and she's like, actually, I signed this pledge.
Glad you asked.
Do you want to come back to my apartment and spreadsheet with me?
Spreadsheet, that sounds fun.
Yeah, love. Are you talking about like Excel or
computer,
or like butt stuff?
Right, in your bed. Which sheets we talking about here?
So
plastic ones.
That's 5 beers. All of them, I think, are worthy of filming. Harrison, one question for you: when we do the poll on social media, can we list all 5 of those, or do we have to take one away?
So I think I found a way to do all 5. It'll be a little different than it went the last time we did it, though. You'll have to jump into our stories and actually write it in. Let's
stick with 4.
Let's stick with 4.
Let's make it easy. I like easy.
Cool.
And that gives us, it gives Harrison one chance to eliminate one of these 5 beers, and then we'll send the rest out to y'all to vote for as soon as you can, because we're recording technically tomorrow night if you're listening to this when it releases.
Right, so once again, don't wait. Listen, vote. We really appreciate it. All right.
So we've got Mocha Madhouse. We've got Juice Above the Clouds. We've got Stuffed Cheeks, which you can't take away. We've got Shredding on Dank, and we've got Pledge. Harrison, I'll ask you to get rid of one of them for consideration.
I'll do what I always do. I want Juice Above the Clouds and Stuffed Cheeks need to be here. Man. Oh, boy. Mocha Madhouse, we've done kind of crazy, creepy, end of the world, Muffin on the Backside, Midnight Snack type movies that are fun. Mocha Madhouse maybe less muffin, more madness. That might be fun. So maybe we'll keep that one. So it's really between Shredding on Dank and Pledge. And honestly, I think I like Pledge.
Me too.
The most. So we're fine leaving Shredding on the Dank in the
movie
dust?
About wood cleaner. Never had such a chance. I think Shredding on Dank was, I'm impressed we came up with something for it. Thanks, Untapped. But let's take Shredding on Dank out of the equation. And that's it for this week's Fast 5. If you want to send us your beer-inspired movie ideas, hit us up on Instagram at Beer Me That Movie, or leave us a voicemail on SpeakPipe. Maybe your submissions will be part of next Fast 5.
Ooh, and if you're not following us on social, fix that. We don't run ads. We don't make this into weird meal kit sponsors. Just pure beer-fueled chaos week after week.
And most importantly, as we said before, your vote. The moment this episode releases, we've got about 24 hours to collect as many votes as we can to figure out which of these sandbox ideas is going to be our next feature film.
That's right. Check our polls. Again, it's on YouTube, on Spotify, on Instagram. Vote for the beer you want movified next.
Until next Wednesday, peace,
punch,
and give me your motherfucking lunch, kid, or I'll go to your house and make your mom do things she hasn't done since college. And start to doubt her beliefs so much that she leaves your dad and you become an orphan.
Yeah. We'll see you next week.